Hi, sixth graders. This is Mrs. Martin, and I am your library media specialist. Today I am giving your first book talk of the school year, and I'm excited to be doing so because it gives me a chance to share some great books with you and give you some ideas about books that you might like to read and hopefully place on hold and check out from our library. If this had been a normal school year, we would have had you down to the library already for a tour, and you would have had the opportunity to be looking around on the shelves and checking books out, pulling them off the shelves yourself. But instead, what we're doing is having you place books on hold using your library. You're using your iPad, to check out books from the library. And so what I'm going to ask for you to do, if you've not yet done so, is to be sure and at the end of this book talk video, check out the video on our library homepage under resources that directs you to how to place a book on hold. It's a quick video. It shows you how to log in and how to do some shopping on our Destiny Discover catalog. It allows you to find out how to place the book on hold, and then reminds you to wait for a message on Schoology from Mrs. Kump or from myself to come down and pick up the books that you have requested. If after watching this video and that one, if you still have questions about how to get books from our library that you can bring home or be reading in your classroom, please let me know. Stop down to the library or send me a message on Schoology, and I would be happy to answer those questions or even come into your classroom and talk more about it. With the book talks, I know that some of the books I share today might sound like good ones to you. Others may not be your style, and that is okay. But I hope that each time I give a book talk, at least maybe one or two sound like books or authors or even just topics that give you some ideas about things you might like to read. I'll talk through what is on this slide before I start talking about the book, just so that you know how the book talks are going to work. I'll always have the title of the book and the author. I'll put the book cover on there as well so that you know what the book looks like when it comes to finding it yourself. And then up in the top right-hand corner, you'll see in this slide we've got graphic novels listed, but the genre will always be listed as well so that you know what category this book is placed in. Some of you already know yourself pretty well as readers. You might know that you are a graphic novel reader. You might know that you like fantasy books, or you like short reads, or you like books that are full of adventure or funny books. For others, this just might help you think about the kinds of stories that you like, and so there might come a time where certain genres stand out to you, or maybe you're going to be pushing yourself or challenging yourself to read some different types of genres. Either way, this will be the information that's on each slide for you to think about. Today, I wanted to focus mostly on some graphic novels and friendship stories, and I threw in a couple spooky stories as well since it is the month of October. Let's go ahead and get started. Roller Girl by Victoria Jameson is one of my favorites in the graphic novels section because it's a fun friendship story that reads really quickly with great illustrations. This is perfect for fans of any of Raina Telgemeier's books like Smile or The Babysitter's Club. This is about 12-year-old Astrid, who has always done everything with her best friend Nicole, right? If Astrid's doing something, Nicole does it. If Nicole's doing something, Astrid does it too. So when Astrid decides she's going to sign up for roller derby camp, she assumes Nicole's going to do it as well, but Nicole doesn't. Nicole signs up for dance camp with a new friend, and it starts off the toughest summer of Astrid's life. There are a lot of bumps and bruises along the way, right? Astrid is doing this roller derby, which is tough, and it's also about her learning who she is as a person when her best friend isn't right by her side. It's about becoming your own self, finding out who you are, but also about what it is to be a friend, even if you're not always joined at the hip. You're going to enjoy this friendship story, Roller Girl by Jameson. Take a look at that one in the graphic novel section. Friends Forever. This one's by Diana Gallagher, and it's part of a series of books, The Complicated Life of Claudia Cristina Cortez. These stories are all about the same character, Claudia. They don't have to be read in any particular order, although I think in our collection we might have them numbered. This is a series where you could probably pick up any of them because each story is its own separate, kind of almost like an episode, its own separate story in and of itself. I just happened to pick the first one to tell you about today. This story asks you to think about how you support a friend when you're pretty sure they're going to get hurt. And I don't mean physically hurt. I mean emotionally hurt. In Claudia's school, only the cool kids make the cheerleading squad. Claudia and her friends aren't necessarily the most popular kids, so it's pretty surprising when Monica, one of Claudia's best friends, decides she's going to try out for cheerleading. Claudia decides she's going to try and talk Monica out of it, right? There's no way that Monica is going to make it. But Monica gets upset. She wants to be a cheerleader. She wants to try out. Claudia wants to support her friend, but Claudia is just positive that Monica is going to be crushed when she doesn't see her name on the list. How can she be a friend to Monica when she knows Monica won't make the team? You've got to read this book to find out. This is in our short reads section. Most of the books in short reads are 80 pages or less. So if you like a quick read, check out any of these books by Gallagher in that particular area. I said that because it's October, we're looking at some spooky stories, and R.L. Stine, he knows scary. He writes some of these Goosebumps books, and Be Careful What You Wish For is one of them. Loved this mystery. This is about a basketball player, Samantha, who loves to play ball but isn't always the best at it because she is a klutz. She falls all the time. She trips over her shoelaces. It's just not a strong suit for her to stay upright all the time. It's kind of the way I expect I would be if I tried to play basketball. Because of that, other girls on the team aren't the kindest to her, especially not Judith. She's making Sam's life miserable, both on and off the court. Well, everything changes the day that Sam meets someone who can grant her 3 wishes. And Sam wishes for some things that she expects are going to make her life better. She expects that these wishes are going to make things easier playing basketball and easier in life. But even though the wishes come true, they don't turn out the way she expects. Things get pretty sad and pretty scary. Be Careful What You Wish For is just the right title for this book, because when you're careful what you wish for, or if you are not careful what you wish for, I should say, things can happen. Find out what happens in this book and how those wishes end up not going the way she'd hoped. Another graphic novel, this is part of the Sports Illustrated for Kids graphic novel series. Again, don't have to read any of these in order, which is just great. Brandon Terrell writes this one, and this is Quarterback Scramble. This story is about a kid named Ben who is used to sitting on the bench during his games. He's the backup quarterback for the Hawks, and he's happy to sit on the bench and hang out with his teammates on the sidelines. Even though he likes to play, he's really just fine being on the bench. It's less pressure, and that's okay with him. Everything changes, though, when the star quarterback gets suspended for getting some bad grades, and all of a sudden Ben has to be in the game, has to start every game, right? He's out there, he's playing all the time. Well, then the team starts not playing so hot, and everybody starts to blame Ben for the team not doing so well. How's he going to get through this? You got to read the book to find out. How's he going to handle that pressure? And what's going to happen to the football team? Lots of action in this book, And especially if you like graphic novels about sports, this would be one to pick up. One more series, even though there are 11 books in this series, once again, you could read these in any order. These are by Phoebe Rivers. This is a perfect one for those who like a spooky story, but not a scary one. If you just like a ghost element to a book, but not one that's going to keep you awake at night. Sarah is a normal 12-year-old girl, but she has an abnormal secret, and that is that she is psychic. She has had these abilities for as long as she can remember, but the last thing she wants to do is use them or talk about them. Ugh, she just wants to be normal. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem that things are going to go that way. Let's take a look at a quick book trailer to find out more about the first book in this series, Ghost Town. Again, you could read these in any order. Oh, an ability to speak with ghosts even when you don't want to. Poor Sarah. In this first book, she's trying to settle into her new home, and there's one ghost in particular who will not leave her be because the ghost needs something. And Sarah wants to help, but she's scared. You know, can she put her fear aside and let this spirit get the help that it needs? Or is it going to put her into some danger? There's another friendship involved here too. Just a terrific series. Again, not a spooky, scary one, but one that involves ghosts and being able to speak to ghosts. So a good one if you'd like to take a look at something like that. One other thing I wanted to mention to wrap up my book talk is that the Mac and Via app is available for those of you that like to either read or listen to books on your iPad. There's another video on our library homepage that you can listen to about how to put that app on your iPad and how to search for books. I wanted to share this one, Fish in a Tree by Linda Mullally Hunt, which is a terrific story about a girl named Allie who is a very smart girl, very bright. But Allie struggles with reading because she has dyslexia. For Allie, some of the letters in words either trade places with each other or they flip upside down or backwards. And because of that, it makes it much harder for Allie to read quickly or sometimes to read at all. Rather than Allie telling her teacher what's going on, she acts out. She disrupts and she causes trouble. And she does those things so that nobody notices that reading can be kind of difficult for her. She doesn't want people to think she isn't smart. Luckily, Mr. Daniels, her newest teacher, has figured this out about Allie and shows Allie how bright she is. He lets her know that just because she learns differently, that does not mean she does not have the same intelligence that everybody else does. Such a great book, such a great read, one of my favorites. We do have this book in our library, and you could put it on hold if you wanted to read the physical print copy of this book. But if you wanted to read it as well, either as an ebook or as an audiobook, let me show you how to do that. You could use your app on your iPad. It looks like this when you download it from self-service. I'm going to go through the other way, which is through our Library Media Center homepage, and I'll just show you how I found it. On the home page, I'm looking here at that Mac and Via picture and clicking there. You'll want to be sure you're logged in under Valley Middle School for Apple Valley and click Login. When you're asked here for your username and password, this is your student ID number and your collab password. For teachers, this is going to be your first and last name. This is going to pull up over 2,000 ebooks and audiobooks available for reading, again, that can be downloaded directly to your iPad. To find the one I found today, I went over here to audiobooks. So now I'm only looking at 424. This is all the books that I could listen to. These are alphabetized, so it starts off with all the titles that begin with the letter A, of course. And I'm going to keep going. I wanted to choose a book that I thought was just perfect for your class of students, which is why I was sharing this one today. So I'm continuing to click load. I could click on any of these book covers to find out more. And I'm going to go until I see Fish in a Tree right here. You may notice the little red dot in the right-hand corner of Fish in a Tree, and that does mean that those books are currently checked out. So even though these are e-copies, electronic copies, we do only have a limited number available. So in this instance, if I hover over it, I could place a request on the book, and then I would get an email that would let me know when the book was ready for me to listen to. Here's a few other tips to finish out my video here today. Please do make sure that you're visiting our homepage. We're trying to update that all the time with some new information on books and things going on in the library, so continue to check that out on occasion. If you do have questions, as I'd mentioned before, please let me know or Mrs. Kump on Schoology or stop down to the LMC. I'd recommend searching the catalog for favorite authors or genres and ask friends for recommendations. I'd also say you should be keeping track of book titles that you want, especially if a book is already checked out. This way you'd be able to request some of the books later on. My last reminder is to please wait for that Schoology message before you stop down to the LMC. If you place a book on hold, the system will tell you that the book is available or the hold is available, but we are asking for you to wait until Mrs. Kump sends you the Schoology message to say that the book is ready for you. If you have more questions or would like to know more information, if you have a book that you want to know more about, if you'd like a recommendation or anything, please come on down to the library, send me a message on Schoology, anything like that. I would be happy to help. In the meantime, I wish you happy reading and thanks so much for tuning in to this video.